Here we are getting warmed up. This is a down block drill from wrestling. It's used to defend a shot, and I'd use it to warm up, but it also has certain elements and fundamentals that you can find in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well as in wrestling. Most of the warm-ups that we're doing are just mainly about movement and balance and that kind of thing. Like I said, you can use them in Jiu-Jitsu. This is a torreando pass, style pass here. Again, mainly about movement, balance, teach us those kind of things. Here we are with a, and one of the things I'm stressing here is the using a C grip on the legs as you're passing. If you're putting your hands kind of on the top, it can be tough. I like to try to shove their knees so they give me a little reaction, and when they try to push back, then it gives me the chance to move into the passes that we're going to do. In the gi, you can double grip on the inside, but I'm not a big fan of that, even in the gi. So here I am, I'm picking up his feet, and part of that is because I want to deal with passing the legs more than I do want to pass the arms. If they're sitting up, you're trying to pass both at the same time. So I usually pick up the legs and then force them to play my game. There's three things that I think about when I'm talking about passing guard. One is to get the spine offline. Right? As long as his spine is strong and he's got his spine in line with yours, then he can start to try to manipulate. So first thing I do is kind of get their spine offline, and then the second thing I do is I cage their hips. I try to make sure that their hips are going to either stay pinned to the mat or keep them from trying to engage. So first thing is get the spine offline, and then I cage the hips. So after you get off the spine offline and cage the hips, the next thing you do is pick a preposition. And what I mean by that is that, a preposition is anything that you can do to a box. All right, you can go through it, you can go over it, you can go around it, by it, behind it, all these things. But there's one thing you don't really want to do. You don't want to go inside the box, inside the guard. All right, you don't want to go in the guard. So again, pick a preposition, but don't pick in or inside. Those are the ones you want to stay away from. Again, go through the guard, go around it, behind it, over it, all these different things. One of the things you want to make sure you do when you're passing is to cage the hip, especially if you're doing knee slices and things like that. If you don't, then what ends up happening is they put their knee in front of you. That knee can become a major problem if they're playing Z-guard or different types of guards. There's leg locks they can stud up from there, different things, but it's really difficult to get past. So if you can cage the hip before you enter the pass, then it makes it easier to set up or to deal with on the other side of it. So first thing, spine offline, cage the hip, and then pick your preposition. One of the things about passing guard is that it offers you a chance to set up leg locks. So if you're going to pass and they try to fight the foot in front, more than the knee, and the knee's a little tougher, but if they fight their foot in front, then you get what I call a sock lock. Some people call it other different things, but one of my favorite locks. You can do it with two hands, you do it with one hand. If they push, then a lot of times it gives you the pass. Another option from here is as you're passing, again, they're giving you these options. But you want to try to slice through and control the underhook on the far side, because if you don't, then they're able to either bump you or throw you forward. So you want to get your underhook, or preferably, to me, I prefer just to kind of keep my chest low to keep from getting nudged forward and that kind of thing. It keeps my weight distribution. And then when I slide my knee, I kind of slide my knee to the outside, not just straight through. One of the things that I like to do when I'm passing is always have a place to go. I don't just want to go to side mount, I want to go to the back. I aim for the back. If I get to side mount, then that's great, but I want to go to the back. So this little drill here is a way for you to drill, we call it a top spin, but you drill it, you come through as they try to defend. You're going to take your hand, put it at their hip, back step, and then come to the back. Try to keep your chest pressure on their back so that they can't turn or flatten out. Okay, but like I said, when you're passing, always have an objective. To me, my objective is to get to the back. That to me, you move from one of the weaker positions to one of the best. That's my objective. Another thing is if you're passing and you can get to the back, great, but what happens if you just get to the back and just start working your choke? All right, you've got a katagatame or a rear naked choke or a head and arm choke. You got different chokes there. So as you're passing and you're going for the back, sometimes they'll just give you the submission, and that's even better. Sometimes you'll go to pass or whatever, and they'll work that underhook. I'll just step across, and now you're back in that same boat where we were earlier. Step around the head and work to the back. Keep that chest pressure so they can't turn, and then cinch up your back control. One of the things you got to worry about when you're passing, particularly open guard, in gi, you're worried about them grabbing your collars and sleeves and stuff. But in no gi, their feet can tend to be a little bit more active. Reverse de la Hiva is one that I usually try to guard against. If they start going for that, there's footlocks and things. But one of my favorite passes is the X pass from here, and this is also why we did the wrestling down block drill that we did earlier. Right? It's the same mechanic that you use for that down block drill. So I'm creating, when I'm doing this, I'm just creating reaction. Again, same mechanic as the down block drill in wrestling. Hand placement, foot placement, leg, everything is the same. Alright. So I'm passing, and I want to get a reaction. I want him to try to engage that leg. I pass it out of the way. I drive with my shoulders to turn him on his side. And again, I'm going to the back. That's my objective. That's my game plan. Sometimes they'll have their hand stuck in and you got to defend past that. But here I'm explaining drive across the body, not just up. All right. From here, I create that reaction. Boom, come through, and I'm going to drive up and across the body to get to my hooks and take the back. Sometimes you're stuck in a closed guard and it's tough, so this is one of my favorite passes from that in no-gi. It's called the Sao Paulo Pass. I've heard it called other things, but this is really about control and plays to the principle of getting the spine offline. So you're trying to keep their shoulders controlled, but also torquing their lower body and keeping that forward pressure so you don't get turned over. All right, and here I'll show it on the front. I walk my hips over and then I do a wide split. Right? I sit my leg through. From this position, I'm keeping that downward pressure control. Push the ankle. I'm going to use my shin behind that ankle, and then I step over my own leg. This ensures that he doesn't get to replace the guard. And then bring my knee across and get to my chest to chest. Always be sure when you're doing this drill to push the biceps up so they can't hold your head down or grab your arms. When you come through, you sit through. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to pop that ankle loose with your hand, so I use my hip. I just create a little pressure. That I am having, from there I just again use my hip. Foot comes under, step across. Sometimes if you're having difficult, like I said, you can go to half guard, but I just want to fight. Pull the arm, maybe back spin. I take the back. So just like with the X pass or any of these passes, anytime you're passing, try to go through to the back. It cuts down on a lot of your transitions and things. Here's the drill you can do by yourself if you are trying to drill it without a partner. One of my philosophies is that you can have a bunch of guard passes for each guard, or you can have one guard pass that you use for every guard. That's kind of what Bernardo Faria does, and I kind of take my own perspective on that. But to me, rather than having one pass for a bunch of guards, I just like to force them to play one guard that I know I can pass. So I don't have to worry about it. It cuts down on the cognitive load in my brain, the bandwidth. I don't have to think in the middle of the match. I can just force him to this one particular guard that I know I can pass. So if you're looking for ways to cut down on what you have to think about during the match, then I would suggest you look for these kind of scenarios. So for me, I like over-under passes, but I get to this position right here where I force the knee down. It doesn't matter what guard he's playing. Force, and I sit below the knee. I don't want to be above it because then I'm just in a regular half guard. All right, turn the knee down, sit below the knee. You can do it from butterfly guard. You can do it from half guard. You could do it from spider guard. I mean, this position I hit from everywhere. Okay, make them sit up. You go to hit your knee slice pass, and it's just not there. If you feel like you just really can't do it, all right, then kick your foot out and come down into that position. All right. One of the cool things is that when you get to this position, and you have a lot of torque that you can generate on their leg. All right. Again, I don't want to be above the knee because then you can get to that Z guard or that knee shield. So get below the knee, and this will give you options. I'm sitting on the heel. This also helps me keep him where he needs to be. There's a knee lock right there if they put the knee shield up. A good catch wrestling technique. There's a toe hold. You got different heel hook entries you could start to work to. So a bunch of foot locks from this position. But my favorite from here is one that I learned from Bernardo Faria, and it's just a knee bar. Some people call it a dog bar as you're trying to pass this position. So you work your underhook on that side, and then keep your shoulder pressure in their hip. And you can use this as a pass. I use it as a pass all the time. So if knee bars aren't in your division, then you can use it as a pass. One thing is you want to hide that arm. Kimuras are always a danger. So you want to really dig that arm in, the arm that's closest to their arms. Dig it in so that they can't get to the kimura. Cross your feet, sit back, generate hip pressure down into that knee to finish with the knee bar. All right. Again, keeping your arm tucked. I like to turn my head and face the feet. It helps me to pass. Here I am getting behind the leg, and now usually I use my elbow to kind of keep their heel turned so I can sit back and start working into either honey hole position or different kind of leg locks. Or if they fight you, you can drive your knee to the floor, and that creates a pathway to the back, and you just come up and take the back. sometimes you're passing and they'll either start moving your head or they'll try to bring their foot over across, and that's fine because there's that Estima lock. Again, you've got different locks. You got toe holds. I mean, I love this setup because it gives me a bunch of passing options, gives me numerous leg lock entries, things like that. So there are other passes you can do, thread the needle passes and things like that, but I have less success with them. You end up getting caught reaching, different things like that. It's a little tougher if you got a longer opponent, bigger opponent. So I prefer to try to pass under the leg, and kind of divide and conquer kind of deal. Keep your pressure. I look toward the feet if I can help it. Sit through to the dog bar or knee bar. And like I said, sometimes as they're fighting, trying to keep from getting knee barred, then they will let you get the pass. You can do the knee bar to your side, or you can do it straight down. I think Bernardo likes to do it straight down where he's bridging into the floor. And you've always got access to the back. As you're doing this leg lock, you drive their leg forward. If they're giving you the pass, drive it forward and then work your way to the back. One of the big things about this position is the amount of torque that the person can generate on your hip if they get a knee shield. And so one of the primary things you need to do is to defend or protect your hip. And so one of the things that I like to do to kind of keep from doing that, we do a position called, I call it the tuck truck, after my buddy Justin Tucker. He used to do this on us all the time. But you just kind of lift the leg a little bit and drive your knee under their leg, so that their hip and their thigh are supported. They're off the ground. It's difficult for them to start shrimping and getting that away. Then you can pummel your hand in, start to work a pass. Whether it's to step out, drive the leg across. Sometimes you might find that they fight you a little bit and don't let you prise that open. That's okay. There's other things you can do. So one of the big things is being able to maintain your pressure. If you lay down, sometimes it can be difficult, but you can take your feet, switch your feet to get that leg broke open, and you need to be able to posture back up. And this puts us back into my original position that I like to pass. Below the knee, start to work my over under pass here. Another key detail is don't forget that when you're doing these passes, even if you're doing the tuck truck, you still want to try to control the hip. Right now, Jesse, the guy in the video, he's on his hip. His spine is still in line, and I haven't done anything to his hip. So even when you do the tuck truck, try to keep his hip pinned or caged so he can't come up. That's why I take my hand to the hip there, and then when I feel like I can control, then I'll come under and I'll take that top foot, switch that foot, drag, and then you could also start to work. There's a knee bar, dog bar kind of thing from there. If they go for the Kimura, which is kind of a low-hanging fruit, then I just back step, come around for a arm bar. So here, this is me demonstrating how to do the position. You drive your knee under. I kind of, again, keep my pressure up, my body up, posted. Biggest thing is I'm trying to keep him from turning that hip. You can sit with your knee to the inside. The problem I have with that is that you loosen your lever, and it is an option. If I were in the gi, I would do that sometimes because I could control the pant leg or the grip, but I'm not a big fan of it in the no gi for that very reason right there. Again, I'm not a big fan of just the sit. It is an option, but this is me demonstrating me driving my knee under their leg. So when you're going to do this, again, you're posting to drive. Lift just a little bit, drive your leg under. They will, again, my arm is kind of right there, and it's like, oh man, they're going to attack that Kimura. But I've been doing this for many years, and one of the things I found is that as they attack that Kimura, if you keep your pressure drive, they can go for it, but it's usually difficult for them to finish. I hug the leg, and then I'm able to drive up or again turn. There's other options you have when you're in this position. Again, big thing is just protecting your leg and your hip. So there's a lot of torque on that. So some people, when they go to try to do the knee slice, they will try to they can drive the leg back across the body, which is a perfectly good option. You can then sprawl out on the leg. But I like to come right back up to the top and hit my X pass that we did earlier. Another option that I really like to do is if they're battling for an underhook on this position, or if I feel like I just can't get through, then go ahead and get your knee through just a little bit and then back step. I like this because it sets up the honey hole position, leg locks, all kinds. You can do heel hooks, you can set up knee bars, different things like that. Sometimes maybe you're in a division where leg locks aren't allowed, or you're just not comfortable going for a leg lock. So instead of going for a leg lock, then you go right for the pass. But as I do this, when I slide and I back step, I need to control that far knee and pull it to me. And I usually grab, there's a tendon on the back side of their leg that I'll just kind of grab my fingers into, and I'll pull that leg to me to help control it, but also it helps to weaken their body. Here, you got to watch for this underhook. If that person's digging for that underhook, keep your body forward, keep your pressure. You can even get a shoulder of justice on their face or cross face. But again, here, if your foot's stuck, take your hand and grab that leg, that tendon on the back side of their leg right there at the bend, and pull that leg to you. And it weakens their grip on your foot, so you can get your foot out. If you're fancy, or if you're part of the 10th Planet system, you'll see some people, they'll start doing the truck rolls and things like that from there too, to go right to the back. Sometimes they'll have a good underhook, and they'll try to like hold on to you or try to bridge you over. And from that position, keep your chest pressure, and then chop your elbow down in, and start the back step, and you come right to the back that we did, the back take we did earlier. All right, keep your chest pressure. So you can go for the Kimura, but to me, sometimes they can come up on top if you're trying to go for that Kimura. So I just prefer to come out and go right to the back. One mistake people make when they're trying to do these type of passes is they give too much space for the person to come underneath. So you got to either be control their hand, or make sure that they don't come under. You can do the back take there, which Jesse's pretty good at. So don't give them space. There's different options. If you do the back step here, you can be under the arm or over it. Different depending on what I want to do. I like to have my arm under theirs. Just got to be careful in reaching their arm around your neck. If you're going to the front, you got to keep that shoulder pressure or maintain that control. But if you go under, this is how, again, like how you could set up the truck in that position. But control that leg. Then once you get your leg free, just step right on over, come up to the back, or the arm bar, depending on how they get what they give you. Sometimes on your back step, you can start trying to work your guard pass, and they don't give it to you. And you can just do a simple spin, put your feet on the hip, start to attack either the heel hook. There's a knee bar transition there as well. Again, if your arm ends up under and their arm's in front of your neck, that can be dangerous. So either try to get that arm in front or get deep behind it. But you can do your back step. Now, if you're just walking your legs, you can lose some of your pressure. So if you're trying to come around from the back, take that huge back step it cuts down on the amount of steps you have to take to get there. You can go for gift wraps. You can go right to your chokes, different as that, but katagatames, head-on chokes, that kind of thing.